Prince Harry looked absolutely miserable after that Australia situation. And honestly, I don't even think people realize how bad things are getting behind the scenes right now. Because this is not just about bad press anymore. This is money problems, public humiliation, charity drama, and now people are starting to question where all the money is actually going. And once that starts happening, that's when panic sets in fast. The biggest issue right now is Invictus. Harry has spent years treating Invictus like it's the one thing nobody should criticize. It became his safe zone, his good prince project, the one thing people were supposed to look at and say, see? Harry still cares. But now even that is getting messy, and Australia pulling back funding hit way harder than they want the public to know. And the crazy part is, Harry himself admitted years ago that Invictus was never supposed to go on forever. There's literally old footage of him saying the games were meant to serve a purpose while needed, and eventually be put away once veterans no longer needed that kind of support system. He said it himself. But now suddenly it feels like the entire Sussex machine depends on keeping Invictus alive permanently. Because what else do they really have left at this point? Australia basically looked at the situation and went, why are we handing over millions when we already have veteran programs here? And honestly, that's not even an unreasonable question. Governments everywhere are struggling financially right now. People are dealing with inflation, housing problems, rising costs, and then suddenly, taxpayers are expected to fund another massive celebrity-adjacent charity project. A lot of Australians were never going to support that. Then Meghan shows up on the Australia trip, and everything somehow gets even more chaotic. And this is where people really started talking. Because apparently the trip was originally supposed to focus on Harry and Invictus, but Meghan inserting herself into every headline became the story again. The photos, the staged moments, the public appearances, it completely shifted attention away from the veterans themselves. And whether people like hearing it or not, that absolutely affects public opinion. Harry could have said no. That's the thing nobody wants to admit. He could have protected the image of Invictus if he truly wanted to. But Harry never says no to Meghan. Ever. And now insiders are acting like he's suddenly frustrated with her because the financial fallout is becoming real. Because, let's be honest here, their lifestyle looks expensive. Very expensive. Security alone probably costs a fortune. Then there's PR teams, legal teams, travel, staff, branding people, media people, Montecito expenses, private everything. And unlike the royal family, nobody is covering the bill anymore. Harry spent his entire life inside a system where money basically appeared magically. He never had to think about electricity bills, taxes, payroll, insurance, maintenance, any of that normal adult stuff. Now, suddenly, he's outside the palace bubble, trying to maintain a billionaire image without billionaire stability. And that Archwell tax filing, that made people raise eyebrows immediately. Their donations reportedly dropped hard compared to previous years, but the expenses stayed massive. That's the part people keep focusing on. Huge spending, less money coming in, and very vague breakdowns of where everything is actually going. Once charity watchdogs start questioning transparency, it becomes a serious reputation problem fast. Especially when you built your entire brand around being humanitarians. People online are also noticing how Meghan's PR has suddenly shifted into this "she's the breadwinner now" narrative. And I'm sorry, but where exactly is all this massive income supposed to be coming from? Because the way some articles talk about Meghan, you'd think she's running a billion-dollar empire behind the scenes. Most of their major deals were based on the royal connection. That was the selling point. Harry being Diana's son was always the real product. And now, that royal connection is getting weaker every year. The palace moved on. William moved on. Charles has his own problems. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan still seem stuck trying to prove they made the right decision leaving. And honestly, that pressure probably destroys people privately. Especially when the money slows down and the public support starts fading too. Prince Harry is starting to realize something that probably never crossed his mind back when he left the royal family. Being famous is expensive. Like, brutally expensive. And the problem is, Harry still thinks like a prince emotionally, but financially, he's now living like a celebrity entrepreneur. Those are two completely different worlds. Inside the monarchy, the machine handled everything. Staff handled problems. Advisors handled scandals. Palaces handled appearances. Harry could show up, smile for cameras, shake hands, and leave. Now, every single thing cost money, strategy, management, and constant image maintenance. And honestly, I think that pressure is finally catching up to him. Because when people started digging into those Archwell filings, the numbers looked rough. Donations reportedly dropped from over 5 million down to around 2 million. But somehow, the expenses still stayed massive. That immediately triggered questions online. People started asking what exactly cost that much money. And the problem for Harry and Meghan is that once the internet starts questioning charity finances, that conversation never really disappears. What made it worse was how unclear some of the reporting looked to critics. A lot of people expected detailed transparency, considering how heavily they market themselves as activists and philanthropists. Instead, critics started saying the expenses looked broad, vague, and difficult to fully understand. Whether that criticism is fair or not, perception matters more than anything in celebrity culture. Once people feel something looks off, the damage spreads fast. And right in the middle of all this, Meghan's image is becoming another issue entirely, because her PR lately feels extremely aggressive. Every week, there's another article trying to push this idea that Meghan is thriving, Meghan is succeeding, Meghan is leading, Meghan is the powerful one holding everything together. But weirdly, the harder they push that narrative, the more people start questioning it, especially because the public can see the difference between real influence and forced publicity. Back during the royal years, Meghan had global attention naturally. She could wear a dress and it sold out instantly. Every appearance became international news. But after leaving, that level of fascination slowly started fading. Not completely, but enough for people to notice. And now, it almost feels like they're constantly trying to recreate that same level of relevance again and again. The Australia backlash made it even worse because people accused Meghan of turning Invictus appearances into personal branding moments. Some viewers thought the focus drifted too far away from veterans and too close towards staged celebrity-style photo opportunities. And once those accusations started spreading online, Harry reportedly became furious because Invictus is the one thing he still takes personally. That's why people are suddenly talking about tension between them. Not because of romance, not because of some dramatic breakup story, because of stress. Financial stress destroys relationships faster than almost anything else, especially when both people are obsessed with image. And Harry and Meghan's entire brand depends on appearing successful, influential, admired, and in control. Imagine trying to maintain that while headlines keep talking about lost deals, declining popularity, failed projects, and money issues. And then there's the house. People forget how insanely expensive Montecito is. That property alone probably burns through money constantly. Staff, landscaping, security, taxes, maintenance, it's endless. And if major deals stop flowing in the way they expected, suddenly that luxury lifestyle starts becoming a massive burden instead of a flex. That's why rumors about Harry wanting back into the royal fold keep showing up. Because deep down, I honestly think Harry underestimated how protected he was before. He thought freedom would automatically mean happiness. But freedom without structure can become chaos very fast, especially for someone raised inside one of the most controlled institutions on Earth. Meanwhile, Meghan still seems focused on building celebrity status independently, and that creates another disconnect between them. Harry still thinks emotionally like royalty. Meghan thinks strategically like Hollywood. Those mindsets don't always mix well. And people online are absolutely ruthless about it now. The second Meghan gets blamed for anything, social media explodes. The second Harry looks unhappy in public, everyone starts analyzing body language clips like FBI investigators. Every interview gets dissected. Every appearance becomes another proof video for somebody's theory about their marriage collapsing. And honestly, their biggest problem might not even be the money itself. It's the fact that the public no longer automatically believes their narrative anymore. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle used to control the conversation almost perfectly. That was the scary part for a while. Every interview landed exactly the way they wanted. Every headline painted them like victims escaping this cold royal machine. Oprah worked. Netflix worked at first. Even the book created sympathy in certain circles. But now, people are starting to push back harder, and you can feel the shift happening in real time. Because eventually, audiences start noticing patterns. Every project somehow turns into another complaint about the royal family. Every appearance somehow circles back to victimhood. Every documentary, interview, podcast, article, it all started feeling repetitive to people. And once the public gets tired, celebrity image problems get dangerous very quickly. That's why this Invictus situation matters way more than people think. Invictus was supposed to be untouchable, It was Harry's strongest remaining connection to purpose, service, and credibility. Even people who disliked Meghan usually respected Invictus because veterans were involved. But now critics are dragging financial questions, government funding disputes, and PR accusations directly into that space too. That's a disaster for Harry personally, because he genuinely seems emotionally attached to it. And honestly, I think Harry feels trapped right now, because on one side, he probably knows Meghan's constant publicity approach creates backlash. But on the other side, their entire California life depends on staying visible. Visibility equals contracts. Contracts equal money. Money keeps Montecito alive. So even if he's frustrated, what exactly is he supposed to do now? Walk away from the entire celebrity system they built together? That's where things get messy. There are also growing rumors about hidden business structures, LLCs, private companies, side accounts, and complicated financial arrangements around their brand operations. Now, rich celebrities having LLCs is normal. That part alone isn't shocking. Almost every wealthy public figure does it for taxes, privacy, and asset management. But because Harry and Meghan already have trust issues with the public, people automatically interpret everything in the most suspicious way possible. And once conspiracy-style conversations start attaching themselves to your charity foundation, things spiral fast online. Then you've got the issue of Harry still believing his royal title alone can open doors forever. A few years ago, absolutely, companies were throwing money at them just to be associated with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. But now companies want results. Audience numbers matter, public trust matters, popularity matters, and lately the Sussex brand feels unstable. That's why some of their recent moves feel desperate to critics. The constant PR drops, the random articles about Meghan's business success, the stories about new projects that quietly disappear later. It creates this feeling that they're trying very hard to look powerful while something stressful is happening behind the scenes financially. And people definitely notice the timing of Meghan suddenly being called the breadwinner. That narrative exploded right after all these reports about declining donations, expensive operations, and financial strain started circulating online. It almost felt like damage control. But honestly, I think Harry's biggest mistake was believing he could leave the monarchy while still benefiting emotionally from everything the monarchy provided. You can't completely separate yourself from an institution while also depending on the status it gave you. Eventually, the distance weakens the power of the title itself. And that's exactly what seems to be happening now. The royal family kept moving forward without them. William became more established. Charles settled into being king despite all the criticism around him. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan still seem stuck fighting battles from 2021 emotionally. The world moved on faster than they expected. And now, Harry reportedly wants support again. That's the ironic part in all this. After years of attacking the institution publicly, there are growing whispers that Harry wants some kind of pathway back, because reality outside the palace walls turned out way harder than expected. But rebuilding trust, after everything that happened, that's not simple at all, especially because the public sees everything now through a very cynical lens. When Harry looks unhappy, people assume marriage problems. When Meghan smiles too much publicly, people call it fake. When they launch projects, people accuse them of cash grabs. It's become almost impossible for them to win public opinion consistently anymore. And honestly, I don't think the real issue is whether Harry and Meghan still love each other. The real issue is that they built an entire empire around attention, and attention is becoming harder for them to control.